Hey guys, in this episode, we're going to discuss the film Thoroughbreds. Critics are calling this film the new cult classic, so we're going to take a look at the characters, the storyline, and give you our impressions of the film overall to see if we agree with that statement. This is episode 21 of the Reel-ists podcast. Hey guys, this is Donnie.
And it's Oscar.
And our producer Ruben is here.
Hi.
Hey.
Translated.
Hola. No, he said hey. So guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. We wanted to just mention a few housekeeping things before we get started.
Housekeeping.
First of all, we want to continue to encourage you guys, if you would just be so kind as to share us with everyone you know, friends, family, coworkers. Just get the Reel-ists podcast out there for other people to listen. Remember, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Team Reel-ists, Team REELISTS, no dash. We would greatly appreciate it. Greatly. Also, remember, every Thursday is when we put out our new episodes, so always be on the lookout for that. Bringing you new content every week.
Exactly. There is no reason why you can't share us. Unless you want to keep us to ourselves, which I understand, but at the same time,
You know, the more the merrier.
Exactly.
Like, share the wealth, okay? We're okay with that. You can share us. And then what was the last thing? Oh, we wanted to quickly just, before we get started into this episode, wanted to mention some films that we saw this weekend. Yes. It was a busy weekend.
For us, yeah.
For films.
Four movies.
4 days in a row. Man.
4 popcorn buckets.
We were busy.
4 large sodas.
We were busy. So we're obviously doing a review for Thoroughbreds right now.
Yes.
And then the next episode is, well, you'll see.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. But we also did see The Strangers Pray at Night.
Yes.
And we saw, what did we see? Gringo.
Yes.
So
2 fun movies, 2 complete different movies. We obviously won't go into detail with them. Both of them, I would say, watch with friends or with people you have good time with.
Yeah, that was like the most fun part for those movies. Like The Strangers Pray at Night was fun because it was a bunch of us.
Yeah, when we saw it, it was great.
So that was fun. Like, it was just fun to watch. And then Gringo too. Like, it was like you and I went, and to have like your friends there, it makes it even more fun. So definitely 2 films to check out. Thanks, MoviePass. Shout out to MoviePass, because it wouldn't have been possible without you.
0. We probably would have seen.
We probably would have saw one.
1 out of the 3.
So shout out to MoviePass. You guys are awesome.
Yes, but let's get down to the nitty gritty.
The reason why we're here, the main event. We are here for Thoroughbreds. Before we get started, one more thing. Oh my God! Don't spoil it. This is our official spoiler. Official spoiler alert. So if you don't want to be spoiled, pause this
and then come back.
Go watch the movie and then come back and listen to this.
That would be 2 downloads for us. We would greatly appreciate it.
So Thoroughbreds. Childhood friends Lily and Amanda reconnect in suburban Connecticut after years of growing apart. Lily has turned into a polished upper-class teenager who has a fancy boarding school on her transcript and a coveted internship on her resume. Amanda has developed a sharp wit and her own particular attitude, but all in the process of becoming a social outcast. Though they initially seem completely at odds, the pair eventually bond and hatch a plan to solve both of their problems. That was a struggle.
But intense, which I think is a great way to describe this movie. Just given that these characters are teenagers, I think the direction they decided to go with is dark. It's dark.
Yeah, definitely like satirical. So obviously, the plot of the film is pretty straightforward.
Yes.
There's 2 girls. One of them has a really mean stepdad, and her friend basically says, "Hey, why don't you ever thought about killing him?" So they're basically like planning how they're gonna kill this stepdad.
Right. What's very fascinating, before we go into anything, I think also want to keep in mind is that they haven't seen each other for a long time. So it's not like they can trust each other in that kind of sense. It was kind of just like they met up again because one was being paid to tutor.
Yeah.
But it was very interesting because it's like you don't really, like, people you haven't seen in a long time, you don't really kind of make those plans. You kind of have to like rekindle that friendship, but they went straight they straight into it.
Yeah. It was interesting because, like you said, they were childhood friends, and then they hadn't seen each other, obviously, for years. So it's kind of meeting each other all over again.
Yeah, you're different from a child to your teenage.
And, yeah, so what made it... So it's Lily and Amanda. Lily is the girl who, has, the rich stepdad and lives in this big mansion, blah, blah, blah. Amanda is the girl who Lily's being paid to tutor / kind of befriend. And we learn that Amanda is basically has no emotions. She cannot feel emotions. She doesn't feel joy, happiness, sadness, anger, nothing. She's just void of emotions, which is pretty, it was interesting and entertaining to watch. But after I walked away from the film, I was thinking about it, and it became even more unsettling for me. As I was thinking about it, and I was like, this person really has no emotion. And there was a part in the movie where she said it just means I have to work a little bit harder at doing the right thing. And that kind of I don't know, made me feel really uneasy about it, I guess. Cause it's if you think about it, cause I mean, basically all she has to rely on is how society views certain things to gauge if it's right or wrong or acceptable behavior or not,
Yeah.
So it's not she could kill someone and not feel anything because she has no emotion. But she knows that society views that as wrong. So she,
I don't want to say influence, but it does kind of give her feel like she doesn't have any choices. That's the role she's meant to kind of have. Mm-hmm. At least that's what kind of it felt like she was stating to Lily the entire time.
Right.
Great performance by Olivia Cook, though.
Yeah, she did so good. I mean, she was completely deadpan. I was focusing on her a lot because I wanted to see, because in the beginning, it's that's when you find out she has no emotion. So as scenes were happening, I was looking at Olivia Cook's character to see how she reacted to certain situations. And I was really trying to study her face to see as an actress, if she could really show no emotion at all. And she did pretty good. I mean, she was like I said, it was pretty unsettling. It was refreshing to watch, because it was during it, it was wow, she's at least for me, it was man, Olivia Cook is delivering right now. She's no matter what scene, she's just completely just void, stoic, nothing.
It's very interesting, at least for her performance. As comparison, she was in Bates Motel, and she played Norman's friend. And yeah, it was a complete different character, and she was watching it. At first, I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna see this as Norman's friend," but no. Slowly, I kind of forgot about that and kind of accepted this new character, Amanda, that she was portraying. So that was very good. Mm-hmm. It's always a good thing to be able to shake off any other previous roles you have.
Right. I know, because a lot of times too. Yeah, sometimes when you see a film or a show, and you're like, "Oh, that's so and so from blah blah blah," and then you're just envisioning that character, and you're not fully engaged with the character they're portraying now. So. Yeah, kudos to her. She did great. And then Anya TaylorJoy,
yes,
who played Lily, your future wife.
My future wife.
Let's just throw that out there to the universe.
Great. Now it's not going to happen because it's all in the podcast.
Oh, it's fine. We're declaring it, so it might happen. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
No, but no, she did great too. And like you said, I mean, I had seen her, and she was in Split, and she was in The Witch, 2 great films. So I was like, but I was. It's not like I was thinking of those films when I was watching her on screen. So she did great.
I liked that she wasn't a perfect daughter in that sense. She still had her flaws. She had many flaws.
Yes, she did.
But she just had that confidence in her still. There was not necessarily confidence in her plan of killing, her stepfather, but just there was something about her that it was she knew she wasn't the smartest, she wasn't the brightest and all that, but she still was able to carry on and feel like she is still becoming someone. Mm-hmm. She wasn't kind of in that oh, I can be anything anyone wants me to be or anything. She wasn't that kind of vulnerable. She was willing to do whatever she felt would make her better kind of thing. I don't know if it was. It's kind of borderline selfish, not necessarily, especially with her plan.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I was gonna kind of save that for later, but you're kind of touching on it now. So
just get down to the nitty gritty.
Let's just get down to the nitty gritty. So, and we already gave the spoiler alert, so we can say anything. So basically, let's just fast forward to the end.
Fast forward.
Basically,
that scene is actually very different compared to other murder scenes in different movies.
Yeah.
You don't see it.
You don't see it.
And
which even makes it even more. Sometimes I think that's harder to watch. Like your mind is going. You're like you're on edge because you don't know when she's gonna strike or when she's
or if she succeeds
or where you don't know you don't know if she stabs him and misses. You don't know if he so the scene is all you see is Amanda on the couch and she's been roofied basically and she's passed out on the couch. Lily goes upstairs. We see her walk upstairs and then after she passes up the staircase we hear her. She's walking up to her stepdad's room to kill him and he's on this rowing machine that you hear the vibration throughout the whole film of him on this rowing machine and then you hear you hear it stop, you hear some scuffling going on. But you don't it's not like you hear either one of them.
Yeah, you don't know what's really happening. Yeah.
You don't know what's happening. And then that makes it even more, I think, hard to watch because it's because my mind was going and I was picturing it and I was like, what if she misses? And then what if he turns around and grabs her and takes the knife and stabs her? Or you just don't know how it's going to end. But it ended. She killed him. And she walked downstairs all bloodied
and still framed Amanda.
The
thing is Amanda was okay with it. That's the other part too.
Yeah. But I get that. It makes sense. It makes sense. Amanda doesn't care. She has no emotion. It's not like she has hopes to live this great life someday. Or she's literally just existing. There's nothing driving her, I don't think. I think it's just she's just taking every day one day at a time. She's just living day to day. So it's not like she's scared to go to prison or she's she hopes that, there's no emotion there. So she could simply just exist and it would be fine. I'm not saying that that's fair. I don't feel like it was fair that Lily did that to her. I felt like that was super, super selfish of her to murder her stepdad and then pin it on Amanda.
Which is where it ties back to why I was saying she might be a little selfish. But no, I mean, that's the part that I'm trying to just wrap my head around, given our premise of our podcast. I feel like I can see myself in Amanda sometimes, but I still don't think I would be okay with taking something for someone, or taking the fault for someone, or being able to be like, oh yeah, I'll take the blame. Hit me with your punishment. I still feel like no, you still deserve.
You did the crime,
right.
You do the time.
Yeah, sure, I don't have anything going forward or anything like that, but I just don't. I get Amanda's she doesn't have emotions, or she doesn't have the fear, she doesn't have sadness, she doesn't have anger or anything like that, but she still has a brain and she still should be able to be okay, but I can still do whatever I want.
She should still have a shot at life, right? The same chance.
I know. It's I know we talked about it, but just because we talked about it and I kind of agreed with you if you should do it doesn't mean I'm going to take your fault. So you can go live a life that's probably going to be a little guilty because you murdered someone.
Yeah. I feel like all of the characters, not so much Amanda, I guess, but I don't know. I kind of walked away feeling like everyone was a little just out of touch with reality. All of the characters, in them, themselves in their own heads. Lily, she wanted to kill her stepdad. Her stepdad was a jerk. But I don't feel like anything he did was necessarily can't really justify her wanting killing him.
I get what you're saying.
For sure he was heartless and mean and
to her and
the mom and totally get that. But I get that was the only solution is just kill him.
But at the same time, this movie is through the perspective of the two girls and they're teenagers. Right. So to them,
that was that was the answer.
That probably was one off. Well, I'm trying to think of this. I don't think there was that many scenes that. There were times where he came off, as rude, but that scene with the mom, but it wasn't this is how he was the entire time. Obviously, we don't know it because they don't show it. You get to see the past of it, but there's a reason why the mom is with him. I would doubt, unless it's just the money, in which case
I think
they didn't really develop the mom to really understand.
No, not really. But what it came off is that she just liked this cushy lifestyle that he was able to give her. And it also seemed like she didn't have much of a backbone.
That's true.
But I don't want to say that. Maybe that's mean. I don't want to put all the blame on her because he was an intimidating man. He was. You saw that one scene where he was kind of scolded her, and she was just trying to help him.
Right.
With some Band-Aid or something, and he was yelling at her. So
what was it that he was saying? Oh, I'm trying to.
He was like, I'm fine.
I'm fine. Yeah.
I'm fine. Do
Yeah,
I need to
there you
sound
go.
like a robot? I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah, that was
Like,
the
he
one.
was so mean. But yeah, I think the mom was just, you know, for the money and just the sense of security, I guess she felt she got. So, but like, that's what it's just going back to when I feel like everyone was out of touch with reality. Like, Lily's reasoning for killing the dad was so, like, that wasn't a good reason. The mom, like, she was so just caught up in, like, for at least that's how it came off to me. It just seemed like she wanted to live in this bubble, and she felt like Mark was the only way to ensure that, no matter how she treated her daughter. So, like, I feel like that was totally unfair to her daughter. Even Anton what's his name? Yelchin, yeah. Yelchin. Anton Yelchin.
Yes.
Rest in peace.
Hey.
No, it's Alton.
It's Anton.
We should have had that.
R.I.P. Yes.
Anton Yelchin.
Yes.
Anton Yelchin.
Very unfortunate.
Yes. Rest in peace. But even his character, like, he was like selling drugs to like high schoolers, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be big. You're gonna see my name in lights one day. I'm gonna be driving past you in this fancy car." And he was just like in his own, like, he had all the. I mean, he had all these dreams. He was a big dreamer, I guess. Like, he just knew he was gonna like overtake the world, run the world, but it didn't end up happening. He was a dishwasher, and then he became a valet parker.
He never really got comfortable with their plan either. Like, I mean, like, it was,
when they were gonna basically blackmail him to kill the dad.
Yeah, it was like one of those where it's like, you're putting me in a spot that I don't want to be in.
Yeah, and even though, like, I know, like, he was trying to sell drugs to high schoolers, and you know, he was gonna be the one to kill the dad. But even even after all that, he was like the most likable character for me in that film. I felt like he was one of those people that was genuinely a good guy at heart. He was just on like wrong roads, like wrong paths.
I could see that.
And was just trying to, like, you know, make it.
Right. Very, I mean, all the characters, well, this really kind of narrows it down to like the two girls and him.
Yeah.
Because everyone else has a very minor role. But
yeah, a very small role.
A lot of complex characters. And I think that's great for this very simple story, because this story could have gone any route. You know, it could have gone with being a little too Home Alone-ish and setting up this entire devious plan that coincidentally just falls in place perfectly kind of movie. It could have gone so many ways, but it took a unique route, and I think that's definitely awesome.
Yeah.
I'll give it credit for that.
No, yeah, it definitely was. I want to ask you, how did you feel about the pacing of it? Because there were a lot of drawn out scenes, and they really allowed the scene to breathe. They really let things play out.
What was the runtime?
They didn't try to rush it, huh?
What was the runtime?
It was only like an hour and like 30 minutes. It was short.
It was short. I was trying to think about it. I mean,
it didn't, but it felt longer, huh?
It did feel longer, and that's because those scenes were short. I mean, were long.
Yeah.
I don't know. I personally, the pacing myself, I have a problem with, and it's not necessarily because the story was simple or anything like that. It was just a matter of these we are seeing these characters, you know, and I guess in a ordinary situation, they there was no, like, you know, they're put in an uncomfortable situation and we're watching them grow. Normally, that's how we really develop with characters, is we put them in situations that they're not comfortable with, in which case they try to either, you know, be heroic or be, you know, brave, or, you know, do anything that they really need to display to get out of their situation. But all their situations were just hangouts for the most part, like things teenage girls would do. Except, you know, not all of them are in fancy houses.
Yeah.
Like that chess piece in the front in the yard.
Yeah, that really huge real life chess size game thing. Yeah. A lot of the scenes were, or like when they were just in their pool, the pool, and like even that scene, I mean, it didn't, when I say dragged out, like, I don't mean it in a bad way. Like, it, you know, they really just kind of, it's like they just put the camera and just said, okay, just be natural, just like do normal teenage girl things, you know? So they're just like, you know, counting, seeing who can hold their breath the longest underwater, you know, and you see the whole thing. It's not like, you know, no scene in this film was like super rushed. Everything just, you know, it played out, which I do appreciate. It was I mean, if I'm being honest, it was a hair slow for me. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. And there are people who probably loved that, And I think nowadays too, like I feel like films, they're always trying to keep you entertained. And
I think the question becomes, if you look back at it, what can you cut out things from it? There's a difference between letting it breathe and then not being able to edit your movie. You should be able to know the crucial parts of the scene and being able to play them in that sense. So it's definitely worth a second viewing in the sense of like being able to say, all right, do we really need them, breathing under the water? Do we really need them, it's a matter of what still carries the story and delivers without just giving it the runtime. Maybe they let the scenes play because they didn't have much scenes. There's different factors. Who knows what the director?
They could have also just been like trying to build up like something. Because also too, like if you listen to the score, like a lot of those scenes, there was like, they had a pretty interesting score that was also like kind of like unsettling and a little like kind of horror filmish.
It follows,
kind of like with the music. So with that kind of intermingled with the scenes, some of those scenes that are just or like what I'm specifically thinking of is the opening scene where Amanda's walking into the house and she's walking around the house and walking into different rooms, and that's like a long opening scene, but they're playing that kind of creepy music.
Well, that's done afterwards though, so it's not, that could always be edited too.
But they could have had that in mind while filming it.
It's possible, yes.
So, but anyways.
But I still, personally, I think it was a little too drawn out. That it's not that I was losing focus. It was just that I was tired. And I was falling asleep.
If we're being honest. So with everything we said, because critics are saying like, oh, this is the next, cult classic, and it's being compared to like Heathers. I didn't see Heathers. You didn't see Heathers. I think Ruben, you did see it?
Nope, no, none of us have seen it.
Okay, none of us saw it then. But it follows like, it's like teenage girls and there's murder involved. It's kind of like a dark comedy, kind of running along the same lines as Thoroughbreds a little bit in terms of like subject matter. So
I personally, as of right now, I'm not seeing it being a cult classic because I just don't feel like there was anything that you still walk away memorable with. I think this is tying to my favorite scene, but I think the ending part is probably the biggest scene the movie has to deliver, and I feel like that's just not enough for people to remember this down the roads. It might be yes for those that like Olivia Cook and Anya
TaylorJoy.
I'm just getting the names wrong. Anya TaylorJoy. She got her name right? Can't over here make that big statement and not get her name right. Just lost that opportunity. But yeah, like I feel like, yes, if you're looking at the performances, this might be a highlight for them. But it just varies on what happens in their careers. Because if they do more successful things, if they do bigger and better performances, it probably won't be remembered so much.
Yeah.
Like if I still were to describe Olivia Cook, I still would be like, oh, she's Norman's friend from Bates Motel. As of right now, she does not established. She's Amanda from Thoroughbreds. So I feel like in terms of cult classic, I think we're a little far from that, but it's definitely a highlight. If you like those independent films. I just feel like it's also
so soon. Like, how do you know, like days after a movie comes out that it's, this is going to be a cult classic?
To you personally, I could see that.
Maybe you can have you can make a prediction.
Like I know, like for example, and I think this is just me speaking of like how you love a movie. Like when you walk out and you want to see it again, or you want to buy it on DVD or that kind of thing, or you watch it at home when there's nothing else to watch. That's how you kind of know for yourself it's a classic for you.
Yeah.
Like for me, that's like one that I didn't think was going to be one, but it is Gone Girl.
Right.
That one is one that I can watch
over and over and over.
Exactly. But I didn't walk out being like, this is a cult classic. This was one that was like, okay,
that's
really
a film.
Like that one.
Like, no, I get it. Like there are films like you said, like Gone Girl, or any film that you love where you're like, oh, I've seen this, I've watched it. Now I'm going to watch it with the director's audit, like commentary on it.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to watch it like, with the deleted scene, like you just like, that's how you know you love a film, when you're like doing all that. I'm sure this film will have like that fan base.
Every movie does.
Like I was gonna say, like every movie, but in terms of like, if it's gonna reach cult classic status, like be in the same realm like Heathers or like Clerks or Donnie Darko or these like films that everybody kind of knows of.
Most of the movies those that become those classics are talked about. Like bigger than what Thoroughbreds is currently being talked about. Like, Thoroughbreds is not necessarily being promoted as much. I mean, I'm not on social media like too much to really know what everyone really is tweeting about and stuff like that, but I don't know. I just feel like even those movies that you mentioned, like, it's usually like a bad rating score, like, audience are hating or critics are hating that kind of thing. There's always some kind of talk about it, and as right now, critics are praising it, but not people. But
it's not. They're not saying like this is the must-see movie of 2018.
Yeah, people are not seeing it. Still.
Or this is the worst movie of 2018. But people still love it.
It didn't even crack the top 10 in box office. Yeah, and I think that's a limited.
It's just like it's doing good, like it's doing okay, but
right.
There's nothing like I get it. So we'll see. I mean, it doesn't sound like we personally think it'll like it's like cult classic worthy, like to be called that, but who knows? Maybe in like 10 years, they might be like, oh, Thoroughbreds. Oh, my God, that's a classic.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe when it comes on Netflix or like something like that, maybe. It's very possible. It depends on what happens when it's released again digitally.
Right.
Because if it becomes, I could see it going on Netflix and it becoming kind of like a 13 Reasons Why, kind of like where everyone's talking about it. Did you see it on Netflix? It's on Netflix kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I could see that happening to this movie. I don't think it will, but I can see it happening.
Okay. With that said, what's your final real score? What are you going to give it?
My final real score. That's tough. Because I feel like I want to say TBA still. Because I feel like because
you want to watch it again.
I have to watch it again.
I guess you could say TBA.
Can I still say TBA?
TBA, TBD.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't really like know.
No, I think I have to watch it again to really give it a full score.
Okay.
Because it wasn't the movie that I wasn't like not interested in anything. It was just I was tired and it was slow.
Life happens. It's fair. We get tired sometimes. No worries.
Right.
I'll throw my real score out there. I think I'm gonna give this one a 3 out of 5 reels.
I was in my head it was about that, but I just didn't. Yes, go ahead. This is your time.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll give it a 3 out of 5 reels. But a lot of it has to do with just the characters. I really was into specifically the 3 characters: Lily, Amanda, and Alton Yetchlin.
His character.
Yeah, his character.
What was his name?
I know.
I got this.
We should have studied that. We can't be disrespecting him like that. He deserves.
It was Tim, the drug dealer.
Yeah, the drug dealer, Tim. Yeah, specifically those 3. I felt like they really brought something to the film. The idea of Amanda just being like completely void of emotions was really engaging, and like her scenes, I just found I was mostly engaged with when she was on screen and when she was speaking. And kind of how she views things from her perspective. And I just thought it was, sometimes it came off as comical. I mean, which it was,
it's a dark humor.
It's a dark humor, satire. But I was really into her character. She's probably my favorite character. Lily was great too, but Amanda, I think for me, stole the show, so to speak.
I would agree. So yeah, I mean, personally, from what I can talk about, I guess would be that I did really enjoy the characters, and you covered it pretty much. They're just very complex. They're complex in the sense that they're believable in a real life world. Like, I can believe.
Yeah, they're not just like one dimensional.
Yeah, it's not like, the Mean Girls where, it's like, oh, she's just mean.
She's just a mean girl.
Yeah.
Or Lily, like, she's just a spoiled rich girl.
Right.
Like there was more to her than that.
For reasons that are still like, well, why? And still questions that don't get answered. So that would definitely be a factor in my rating, but I definitely see that. I think the strongest thing for this movie is the characters, because the story is very straightforward.
Yeah, the plot.
It just takes a long time for that plot to conclude, to reach its end. But I mean, but that ending scene of not knowing what's happening upstairs while Amanda is sleeping, and her coming down, and it's
I thought that was very smart, of director move to like keep the camera just on Amanda.
It's very similar. It reminds me of the ending of Call Me by Your Name, where you're just watching Elio's face, like in sadness, as the credits start to roll. Like
kind of like, did they mean to leave the camera on for that long? Like, or kind of borders that. But
right.
It's like, obviously they did. It's in the final cut of the movie, but
It's just definitely it's one where I don't think for those that see a lot of mainstream movies and blockbusters, you don't really see characters in that like real life's time. A lot of times it's, the characters say their lines and it cuts to another character, or it cuts to the next scene that it takes the action with. So there are some moments where that is really effective. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one where you can let it. That's the thing. It's not even letting it play out, or it's not letting it breathe, as Justin says. It's more of finding out who comes out on top and just not knowing. So it's not a twist, but it's not just them talking about random stuff just because. Mm-hmm. It's like you're waiting to see who comes out victorious.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my favorite scene. Just to throw that out there.
Yeah. That was my favorite scene too.
Oh, cool. So therefore my score is 3 out of 5.
So then we can no, actually I do like that scene, and then the other scene that I also equally liked for comical reasons was the scene where she was basically telling, it was in the beginning when she was basically telling Lily to just like, be honest or whatever. And then Lily told her like, you smell funny. And she was like, oh, well, I haven't showered. I've been showering like every other day. I thought I was getting away with it. And Lily was like, well, you're not. She was basically like, thank you for telling me. Cause like nobody said anything, which I thought was pretty, it was funny, but
that's definitely something I can see myself thinking like,
I felt like in that moment, Lily was just like, okay, I was able to say something just unedited, just like throw it out there and it's fine, and like Amanda was kind of encouraging her to just like,
That was definitely a great scene.
But yeah, that scene and obviously the ending was pretty great. So yeah.
Well, everyone,
that's our review of Thoroughbreds.
we hope it's on par with you guys think.
Yeah, please let us know what you guys think. Let us know if you think that this film will go down in cult classic history. Also, another thing I want to throw out there, let us know what your guys' favorite cult classic film of all time is. Ooh. I'm going to throw mine out there. I don't know if you have an answer. This is kind of just spurring this question, but
I don't.
My personal favorite is The Shining. And that got like ripped to shreds by critics. It was like considered like, it was like won like Razzies, like worst performances, but that's a cult classic and I could watch it again and again and it terrifies me.
Do I have a cult classic? I mean,
it's okay. If you don't have one, it's fine. You can think about it, sleep on it, think it over. Go on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and let us know.
You know what? I'm gonna tag the Reel-ists podcast in really my thoughts.
Just like when you think of it, go on one of our social medias and just post it.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah,
the cult classic challenge.
So yeah, guys, let us know what you think. Let us know what your favorite cult classic film is, and remember us. You can remember us. Well, yeah, remember us. Remember us.
That's oh my god,
different movie.
Just got people mad. They're like, that's not the lyrics.
Remember, you can find our podcast on Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify,
wherever
YouTube,
podcasts are available,
and our website, theroastpodcast.libsyn.com. And I think that's about it, right?
That's it.
Awesome. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.